Krishna. Hello to all the Vaishnavas present here, and welcome all to today's morning Japa session in short Srimad Bhagavatam class. I thank all the Japa leads who have come and done their services on behalf of my leaders. Hare Krishna. So today we are going to start the Canto second chapter 1 and shloka number 7. Hare Krishna. Before that, we'll start with the short kirtan. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yamunatira Panachari Yamunatira Panachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Gandharvika Giridhari Gaura Hari Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha Jaya Ananta Dev Lakshmi Narasimha Jaya Ananta Dev Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Bhakta Prahlad Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya Jaya Gurudev Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraet Nashtaprayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yatkrupatamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanyamishwaram Hari Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Is my video visible, Prabhuji? Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji. All clear.
Okay. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. So, yes, let's start this Srimad Bhagavatam. Canto 2, Chapter 1, Text number 7. प्रायेण मुनयो राजन् निवृत्ता विधिषेधतः नैर्गुण्यस्था रमन्ते स्म गुणानुकथने हरेः. Krishna synonyms. Word meaning. Prayena, mainly, Munayaha, all sages, Rajan, O king, Nivrittaha, above, Vidhi, regulative principles, Shedataha, from restrictions, Nairgunya staha, transcendentally situated, Ramante, take pleasure in, Sma, distinctly, Guna Anukathane, describing the glories, Harehe, of the Lord. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada, His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. O King Parikshit, mainly the topmost transcendentalists who are above the religious principles and restrictions take pleasure in describing the glories of the Lord. So, purport. Okay. We can read the purport. The topmost transcendentalist is a liberated soul and is therefore not within the purview of the regulative principles. A neophyte who is intended to be promoted to the spiritual plane is guided by the spiritual master under the regulative principles. He may be compared to a patient who is treated by various restrictions under medical jurisdiction. Generally, liberated souls also take pleasure in describing the transcendental activities as mentioned above, since Narayana Hari, the personality of Godhead, is beyond material creation, his form and attributes are not material. The topmost transcendentalists or the liberated souls recognize him by advanced experience of transcendental knowledge and therefore they take pleasure in the discussion of transcendental qualities of Lord's pastimes. In Bhagavad Gita 4.9, the personality of Godhead declares that his appearance and activities are all divyam or transcendental. The common man who is under the spell of material energy takes it for granted that the Lord is like one of us, and therefore he refuses to accept the transcendental nature of the Lord's form, pastimes, name, etc. The topmost transcendentalist is not interested in anything material, and his interest in the matter of Lord's activities is definite proof that the Lord is not like one of us in the material world. In the Vedic literatures also it is confirmed that the Supreme Lord is one, but he is engaged in his transcendental pastimes in the company of his unalloyed devotees, and that simultaneously he is present as the super soul, as expansion of Baldev in the heart of all living entities. Therefore, the highest perfection of transcendental realization is to take pleasure in hearing and describing the transcendental qualities of the Lord and not in merging into his impersonal Brahman existence, for which the impersonalist monist aspires. Real transcendental pleasure is realized in the glorification of the transcendental Lord and not in the feeling of being situated in his impersonal feature. But there are also others who are not topmost transcendentalists but are in a lower status and who do not take pleasure in describing the transcendental activities of the Lord. Rather, they discuss such activities of the Lord formally with the aim of merging into His existence. उमज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाखया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. जगतगुरु शिला प्रभुपाद की जय. पतित पावन गुरु महाराज की जय. निताय गौर प्रेमानंद. हरि हरि बोल. Hare Krishna. Yes. So here let's read the translation again. O King Parikshit, mainly the topmost transcendentalists who are above the religious principles, regulative principles, and restrictions take pleasure in describing the glories of the Lord. So, previously, Shukadev Goswami explained about the people who are very much into worldly affairs, right? Previous 2, 3 shlokas back, he explained about this that there are people who take pleasure in discussing the topics which are material. Now he is saying that there are others who are topmost transcendentalists. Uh, so they take pleasure in discussing about the Lord's pastimes. So they are not material people who like to describe some other pastimes. They want to describe the Lord's pastimes because Lord is not material. His pastimes are not material. They are completely on a spiritual platform, and discussing about the Lord's pastimes brings the purity of the heart. It doesn't awake raga, dvesha, all those 6 enemies. It in fact subdues all those 6 enemies. That is the beauty of Lord's pastimes. It is said, right? when heard from a right source and heard with the right intention, uh, it purifies the heart of the listener and also the speaker. Srimad Bhagavatam topics are like that. It should be heard properly, it should be narrated also properly under the supervision of a guru, right? Guru Parampara should be there. So there is also another word used here, like who are above the regulative principles and restrictions. So it's very important to take note of this point because many people misunderstand this point that okay, they are called as Paramahamsas. So those who are above the regulative principles and restrictions, they are called as Paramahamsas. But Srila Prabhupada, when telling in the lecture related to this shloka, he especially mentions this point that for neophytes or those who are there in bhakti from a very very less time, or those who are not yet uh, upgraded to that platform of paramahamsas, they must follow this regulative principles, rules and regulations. Uh, these four regulative principles which are given by our acharyas, and also the chanting of 16 rounds, right? And attending the Mangalarti, doing deity worship, attending satsang, having Vaishnava association. So all of these things, they are rules and regulations which are given to the neophyte devotee, right? Because they do not have the pleasure uh, which will keep them binded to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They do not really enjoy, doing devotional service. They need to be given some rules and regulations to do this devotional service. And that's why they must follow it. Some people might think, no, I am already having the taste for the Lord. They can think that, and that's why by reading this shloka, they can start uh, breaking the rules and regulations or acting in a different way. Srila Prabhupada asks that you think you are Paramahamsa, you think you are Paramahamsa, but Paramahamsas do not even have the time to think that they are Paramahamsas. That's what Srila Prabhupada is mentioning. Like, if you are thinking that you are Paramahamsa, where did you get that time from? Because Paramahamsas, they do not have even one single moment to waste. They only want to speak about Krishna, describe about the Lord's qualities, pastimes. Uh, how are you getting the time to think that you are Paramahamsa? So, like that, Srila Prabhupada mentions in his lecture. So, so like that. Paramahamsas means that they are not influenced by the three modes of material nature, namely sattva, raja, and tamoguna. Right? Shri Krishna mentions in the Bhagavad Gita that these Vedas, whichever they have, the Puranas, they all are coming under either sattva guna, raja guna, or tamoguna. They describe about this. So what you do is you transcend. Don't be in this three gunas. Transcend from this gunas. And how to do that is by chanting the holy name of the Lord. By associating with Lord, one can get that stage, right? Like association. Association matters a lot. So one who, in whichever association we are in, we start developing that kind of qualities, that kind of behavior. Huh? So when one is in connection with Krishna, right? Krishna is the topmost transcendental person. So when one is in relationship with Krishna, association with Krishna, or the people who are associated with Krishna, that is devotees, we are in association of devotees, pure devotees. Then what happens is we also start raising to that platform. So that is called Nirgunyastha, right? And what they do is they don't have even a single second to waste. Uh, so previously, when they are doing the when we are in the regulative mode of devotion, happens is we do it as a duty, right? We have to do it because Guru has said it, right? I have given my vow to my Guru Maharaja that I'll do this, and that's why I'll have to do this. That will be the thinking when one is in this kind of devotional service, which is very good because it is initial stage, and this has to be followed. By following this very keenly and having patience, utsaha, nishchaya, dhairya, right? Having all these three elements, what happens is he starts raising to that platform where he executes devotional service not as a duty, not as a rules and regulations, but with love, right? There is a thing called burden of love. So that thing he takes up. He loves to do, like how a music lover loves music without any external pressure, right? Like that, the sage, the Lord, the devotee loves the Lord without any external compulsion. It's natural for him. That is called as Raganuga. So that Raganuga Bhakti should be the aim of all of us. It is the aim. But the process, first we have to get our hearts purified. Without purified heart, there is no question of Raganuga Bhakti. Heart must be purified. So, what happens if we or if anyone does not follow the rules and regulations, thinks immediately jumps to the stage of Paramahamsas? What happens is he falls back because they are not in that platform, right? And that is imitating Paramahamsas. If one imitates, what happens is they'll fall back to that platform. So, to the extent that uh, having the association of a woman is spiritual, to that level they'll fall back. It's very dangerous thing, right? So that level they'll fall back. That's why one should not try to imitate the Lord's pastimes or Paramahamsa's activities. No one should try to imitate that. So, it is said, right, like how one is drinking, like Shivji, he drank the poison, Hala Hala Visha, which came out of the Kshira Sagara. If one tries to imitate Shivji, Shivji is a Paramahamsa. He has protection from the Lord. What about this small, minute living entity who is not even freed of material lust, anger, greed, pride, envy, and jealous, all that? If he tries to do the same, what happens is he loses his life. I think what he loses the small spiritual progress which he had acquired. Right. There is also another thing like these. They are called as impersonalists. Like they don't love the Lord. They just want to get merged with the Lord. Uh, so that's all they want to do. And what they start doing is they start negating all the things. They think that Lord's pastimes are material. They think like that. And that's why they don't really appreciate much. They don't appreciate like how Shrimad Bhagavatam is appreciating the Lord's pastimes. And Shukadev Goswami himself, he was an impersonalist before, right? He was transcendentalist but impersonalist. when he heard of Srimad Bhagavatam, one verse, right, from Srimad Bhagavatam, from Srila Vyasadeva, his mind immediately got attracted to Krishna, right? So then onwards, he started describing the Lord's pastimes. He is unable to stop it. We see here, whole Srimad Bhagavatam, 18,000 verses, right? So long conversation without eating, drinking. Parikshit Maharaj was also keen in listening, and Shukadev Goswami was also very keen in narrating the pastimes of the Lord. So, such kind of conversation happens when a pure devotee meets with another pure devotee. So, the thing is that he was an impersonalist, but still he got attracted to the Lord's pastimes because the Lord's pastimes are like that. So the Lord's pastimes attracts the liberated souls also. That's why na akama sarva kamo va moksha kama udharadihi tivreda bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. So those who are having desires, those who don't have any desires, those who have desire of getting liberated, any other desires, they must worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And these pastimes are very much relishable to Paramahamsas, right? We know that verse which states this particular thing, that this Shastra is meant for Paramahamsas. They take very much joy in reading Srimad Bhagavatam, studying Srimad Bhagavatam, glorifying Srimad Bhagavatam, and glorifying the Lord's pastimes. So, like that. The impersonalists, they do not have this opportunity. Very sad for them because they only start negating things. This is not, no, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this, don't do that. They just have these rules. They don't have what to do. If we ask what to do nothing. That's what they say. So, yeah, they do not have this privilege of appreciating the Lord's pastimes, which is very sad. A devotee, if he is given a pure devotee, if he is given a chance to get merged into the existence of Brahman or to stay in the hell, a devotee chooses hell instead of getting merged with Supreme Brahman. That's why when one it's said that if one hears someone talking about this thing, uh, getting merged into Brahman, he should take a Ganga Snana, Ganga dip. So if we see such kind of people also, the devotee wants to take dip in Ganga. Like that, because it is very tough time. Like the person is interested in spiritual progress, uh, but his path is misdirected. How unfortunate, right? Like, a person is there who doesn't know anything about spirituality. He's just involved in material things. He's okay. The person who has already got into this line, who is searching after the absolute truth, and there he gets misdirected. It's very unfortunate. So that's why our Srila Prabhupada is very much what very for, what we can say, compassionate, very compassionate on these kind of people. Nirvishesha, Shunyavadi, Paschatya Deshatarine, right? Shunyavadi, those who talk about void thing. So he is liberating all of them. The way he gave lectures, the way he gave prasadam to everybody, the way he looked after everybody, so many people got the bhakti, right? So they were brought back to the right path. Like Srila Prabhupada also gives an example regarding this. The US government, okay? They tried to stop this intoxication habit of LSD. They wasted millions of dollars. Not a single man was stopped. Not a single man. And here in Krishna consciousness, as soon as they come, immediately they stop. Why? Param Drishtva Nivartate. When he understands that he is better than intoxication, right? Why shall I go to LSD? That is required. This is from Srila Prabhupada's lectures. So, like that, one should not just negate things, he should also do some things which are favorable, right? Like we have the regulative principles which are to be avoided, and we have the rules which are to be followed, like the 16 rounds chanting, attending the satsang mangalati, and all those things. When one is given, that's what, right? Srila Prabhupada gave the hippies, they did not know anything. They were just chanting, having prasadam, hearing from Srila Prabhupada, right? They got this positive thing, from which the negative, it went off by itself. So, like that, one can start doing. Positiveness should be given to the people. So, those who are unable to take up very fastly, they are recommended of other processes also. So, that is how Vedas are designed. They are designed for everybody, right? So, but here we are only discussing about the topmost transcendentalist. First, one should have the desire to become the topmost transcendentalist. Then the doors open. Then the path to become that transcendentalist opens. Like here we are having this Srimad Bhagavatam. We can follow the rules given by or can follow the advices given in Srimad Bhagavatam by various devotees who are there, right? So, if we try to follow the instructions of a pure devotee, then one can also become a pure devotee, or one is able to describe about the pure devotee. One is able to glorify the pure devotee or glorify the pastimes of the Lord. Then also he comes to the same platform. Right? Nama, Rupa, Guna, and Leela. Any of these, if we start describing, that's why Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya, right? Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Every day, if we serve the person Bhagavatam and the devotee Bhagavatam, what happens is we start getting those qualities. Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. In the we come to the platform of a very strong and rigid bhakti towards the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Bhagavati Uttama Shloke, who is praised by these glorious verses of Srimad Bhagavatam. Like the Bhagavatam, if we see, whichever we speak about the same verse, some new realization comes, right? So that is according to the person who is speaking, how much he could understand, or how much he is devotee, he can, explain this verses in that much extent. And we have Srila Prabhupada, who is very great devotee, right? Paramahamsa devotee of the Lord, and we are able to read from his purports, right? Which is very nice. We have got this opportunity, and someday we can also hear from other devotees, other disciples of Srila Prabhupada. They also have explained really well on all these verses. And gradually, we'll also be able to understand the meaning of these verses here, which are mentioned. I would like to remember Amarendra Prabhuji, His Grace Amarendra Prabhuji at this point, because he explains the verses with the very best way, right? So that's how one can also get elevated. So by taking shelter of this Srimad Bhagavatam and all you Vaishnavas, I end it here. Thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity for me to speak and glorify this Srimad Bhagavatam. Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Dhanavad Pranam.